The Honorable Keter, the hour comes for the man.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for according me this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 4.3, I wish to raise a matter regarding several national leaders who have achieved might lately. Honorable Speaker, on Saturday, October 12, 2019, we celebrated with the world as one of our own, Eliud Kipchoge, ran a 42-kilometer marathon in 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds. The first human being to ever do so. The same weekend, Kipchoge broke a 16-year-old record in women's marathon, running in 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 4 seconds. We also had our Kenya Navy and other agencies which managed to retrieve the vehicle that had sunk to a depth of over 50 meters in the Likoni Channel about 2 weeks ago. Several General Service Unit officers who lost their lives in the line of duty while conducting security patrols in the Garissa area, while our soldiers are still fighting in Somalia as part of the Amazon forces. These Kenyans have and continue to undertake extraordinary national duties, bringing high acclaim to our nation, and as we prepare to celebrate Mashujaa Day, they deserve special recognition for their contribution to and sacrifice on behalf of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, I therefore, against this background, seek your leave to raise this matter during today's 0 hour. Mr. Speaker, I want to say I'm really a proud Kenyan, having watched last weekend, Eliud Kipchoge ran under 2 hours in marathon. I know the whole world was standstill that morning. And I know, Mr. Speaker, as a house, we need to really see how we can celebrate these heroes, how we can contribute and support them, because we miss in a lot of support in terms of these heroes. Mr. Speaker, I remember again Kipchoge, who broke the world record, which was standing over 16 years. And she broke it in 2 hours, 14 minutes. And I don't know about 4 seconds. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that it is high time this country celebrate these heroes. As we support them, let us put stadiums to promote sport, which is showcasing Kenya as a wonderful nation, as a wonderful country, where, you know, when some of us who come from Rift Valley region, when we see these athletes, we sometimes don't take it serious. It's only when they do it like Kipchoge, where all the international media, the local media, the social media were on one case of Kipchoge. I remember there were tweets from all over the world, including heads of states and government, who was celebrating a hero born in a small village in Nandi. And that is my county, Mr. Speaker, for your information. It is really a proud thing. And I know this week is a Heroes Week, because we are to celebrate on Sunday, the Mashujaa Day, which we are celebrating all the national heroes. And I want to say again that there are many heroes that we forget. I was watching for almost 14 days when the Kenya Navy and the other agencies were working to ensure that they retrieved the vehicle that was having a mother and a child. It is, after they retrieved it, nobody will remember them. Before the retrieval, everybody was discussing about it. But when it happens, we seem to forget so fast. We must remember again heroes who lost lives. I remember the General Service Unit officers, about 10 of them who lost life in line of duty. When they are trying to protect our lives, they lost their lives. Those are our heroes. We have so many heroes, but to save time, Mr. Speaker, we must remember each and every of these heroes, even including our President and the Right Honorable Prime Minister for their handshake, which has brought peace to this nation. They are our heroes. Because now we can see a country that we love so much, being peaceful. The tourism has improved. All these heroes, in summary, Mr. Speaker, we must try and really celebrate them as we support sports and we support each and every hero and heroine in this nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me allow other members to make contributions.
Very well, the Honorable Keter, very well moved. Honorable members, you will take note that this is a matter to consider under our order number 43. And every member who will be contributing to this will have 3 minutes to speak to it. And the first member to have a go at it will be the Honorable Ombaka, the member for Siaya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I just want to take this opportunity also to celebrate the heroes that we have had in recent times. We are proud of Eliud, Kipchoge, and other leaders that have followed suit. We do not forget, I would like us never to forget, that we used to have East African Safari Rally, which is no longer there. Maybe it's coming back. And as I was growing up, we used to admire Joginder Singh. That was a name. It has since disappeared. I'd like us to recall the great men and women of this country that have played a very important role, because they are role models. Our young boys and girls are going to be like them. And we should never forget them, because in other countries, these people are remembered. They are part of history of a nation. So we need to have these heroes not only remembered during celebrations like Heroes Day, but we also need books written on them so that our children can read about them in the schools. They are part of our history. They're part of our heritage. We must remember everybody who has played a big role. Musicians die without being known, and they have played a big role during their time. Their songs are used during campaigns, and so on and so forth. We have to think about the singers, we have to think about the athletes, we have to think about writers, the late Grace Ogot, who was a politician and a great writer. We must remember some of these great men and women in our nation. And to me, they are part of our history that we should never, never forget, and that we need to write books about them for us, for our children, and the future generation should know who they are, so that they can also emulate the work of our heroes. That is my contribution, and thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable members, I stand corrected. I have retrieved the Speaker's directions when he gave permission for the Honorable Keter to move his motion. He actually allowed him to move it as a motion of adjournment under our Order 33, which allows each member to speak for 5 minutes. So each one of the members will have 5 minutes to speak. The next member to speak to this will be the Honorable Jaldesa Dida.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also contribute to this motion. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mheshimiwa Alfred Keter for bringing this. And I also want to join my members in congratulating Mr. Eliud Kipchoge and Bridget Kosgei. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, that Saturday will remain in the minds of Kenyans for many, many years to come, unless maybe somebody else comes up and breaks that record. Mr. Speaker, I was a proud Kenyan to have watched that event live. But, Mr. Speaker, I am somehow a bit demotivated, because I could not understand why it had to take a foreigner by the name Jimmy Ratcliffe, I think, if I'm not wrong, to organize that event for Eliud Kipchoge, when us, as a government, as a country, have not thought of doing it. Mr. Speaker, on that length, I want to really appreciate the sponsor for his kind heart and for his generosity, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I would like to congratulate the many sponsors, especially the private ones, Safaricom, just to name a few, the county of Nandi, and those who have contributed in one way or the other. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that going forward, I urge the private sectors in this country to borrow a leaf from Mr. Jimmy Ratcliffe, so that the many talents we have in this country does not go to waste. Mr. Speaker, I urge the media houses to go visit this camp, the ones in Eldoret, Etain, so that the athletes can get motivated, and I know they are there. We have so many other Eliud, Kipchoge, who can break the world record. All they need is motivation, is nurturing, is appreciation. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to say that the Ministry of Sport, I expected to hear more in terms of appreciation. This is a young man who was able to prove that indeed human being can do anything beyond any limit. And for that, Mr. Speaker, I was even expecting in his honor to enjoy a holiday on a Monday. What am I trying to say? We really need to go an extra mile and appreciate these people. Mr. Speaker, I know the speaker in the morning had told us to read a standing order, I think a constitution number 210, before we talk about tax exemption. But Mr. Speaker, I was trying to read how other countries are appreciating their athletes and their, their talents by giving the tax exemptions to tokens that are received from other countries. And therefore, that's why, Mr. Speaker, I'm still proposing, as a House, we can come up with an amendment to ensure that when Eliud Kipchoge and other members, other athletes will get a reward like he's getting, then they can be exempted so that they can come and donate whatever they are given to other deserving athletes so that at least they can nurture more. Mr. Speaker, with that, I support.
The Honorable Wachira Kabinga, member from where?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to contribute to this very important motion brought by our brother Ketel. I want to join in celebrating the heroes. Mr. Speaker, I must confess it's wrong since I was glued to my TV for 2 hours, but I did so as I watched our son, Eliud Kipchoge, do what he did, and that was really a great moment. But even as I celebrated, Mr. Speaker, I take note that this is a period where we also lost our sons in Liboi, Daramaje Road, Mr. Speaker, where 11 soldiers lost their lives, Mr. Speaker. As I stand, my county, Kirinyaga, lost 3 out of the 11. 2 of them come from my constituency, Mr. Speaker. Police Constable Kennedy Njogu Muremi comes from a ward called Wamomo in Mwea. By the same name, Kennedy Kenyua Mureithi, another police constable, comes from Kangai ward, also in Mwea. We also lost Lewis Muturi Wanjohi, another police constable from Kirinyaga Central, Mr. Speaker. And when the news of these young men came to me, Mr. Speaker, I was really disturbed. Disturbed in the sense that these are young men. The 3 of them are not married, Mr. Speaker. They are very new to the forces, Mr. Speaker. And so as I was thinking about it, a few things came to my mind that we all need to think about. Number 1, why is it that whenever we have these calamities in these challenging areas, we only get young men under 30 who end up being victims. Could it be that most of our young men, when they come out of their recruitment, Mr. Speaker, are posted in some of these challenging areas, even without the relevant experience? This is really disturbing, Mr. Speaker, and we really need to look at it to ensure that even as we want our young men to serve in this country, we ensure that we equip them with the relevant experience even before we post them to some of these areas, Mr. Speaker. I also take note, Mr. Speaker, that as these young men were patrolling the area allocated to them, they were in a vehicle that is not armored, and I know we have invested heavily in this country to buy vehicles that are armored, vehicles that would be more protective when it comes to these kind of IEDs or bombs that these young men ended up in being victims of, Mr. Speaker. I would again want the country to relook at the investments that we have made as we rely on these young men to protect us, Mr. Speaker. We are here in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, very peaceful, because some young men and women are out there patrolling to ensure that we have the peace that we have today, Mr. Speaker. And for that reason, it is very important that this country appreciates the sacrifice that these young men are making. Finally, Mr. Speaker, point number 3, I would be interested in knowing to what extent do our country take care of the families that are left by these young men, Mr. Speaker. Some of these young men were the sole breadwinners of some of the parents who are now left without anything, Mr. Speaker. And for that reason, I would be interested in knowing, and we'll be following up on this, Mr. Speaker, to know exactly how these young men are, when they lose their lives, are compensated not only to whatever they are entitled to, but also to the dependents who are left helpless out there, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank GSU. I was there yesterday with the families that were affected, and for sure, I must thank them for the cooperation that I saw, and I am very sure.
The Honorable Washira, it's only 5 minutes. The Honorable Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important matter. Mr. Speaker, there has been many activities in the country where we have heroes who have either lost their lives for others. In the case of Mr. Kipchoge, I was one time at the Ministry of Sports as a secretary, and what these young people do to our country, or the people who win these medals or these races, they bring a lot of fame to our country. This is going to do a lot of boost to our tourism, and this is a person's single effort, which is going to, make Kenya earn a lot of money. So some exceptions in terms of taxes will be in order to honor such a hero, other than other honors the country is going to give such a person. Sports bring unity. All Kenyans watched this gentleman win in the world, and we are all united cheering him and celebrating him, Mr. Speaker. In the matter of Likoni, Mr. Speaker, I went together with a member from Mwatate to support the Honorable Mishiboko, because, Mr. Speaker, the lady and the child who perished actually come from Makueni, in that she's married in Makueni, although she comes from Taita. And when we went there, and our sister worked with the Mishiboko, when we had briefings, because it was a very well-coordinated exercise from the Navy, because there had to be one sender. And from the Kenya Ferry Services, we met the chairman, the Honorable Mwanzo, and you could almost speak that there was giving up. But Mr. Wambua, John Wambua, the husband, remained, he was very hopeful that somebody will help. So when someone from Sweden did not seem to be doing very well, and the locals were sort of dismissed, and they say there are 10 vehicles under there and very many other people anyway who've never been recovered, I was, really touched when somebody made a serious effort. Because the talk was bad in the coast, and there was wondering how we going to celebrate Mashujaa Day with the people sunk there with all these trainings we have and all the equipment and all the law we are passing in this house to make sure that the ferry is safe. And Mr. Speaker, the people who retrieved these vehicles must really, really be honored by this country. It was such a relief to the people of Makueni, to the people of Mombasa, and to the people of Taita. And this is a matter the country and the whole world has followed keenly. What we learned also, Mr. Speaker, people who dive to save others volunteer. And in fact, there is no honorarium as such. And the dangers are so glaring that while trying to retrieve those bodies, one could easily lose their life, Mr. Speaker. And for that matter, that's a major, major sacrifice. And I want to say when the equipment came, locals were actually very key. The experts came with the equipment. They could do the spotting, but the locals actually did the job, as it had just been said in this house when we made a contribution of this particular matter. So in reference to this particular incident and many others, Mr. Speaker, you remember the case of Dusit, we had quite some heroes there. Lives were saved, although lives were lost, and others lost their life on line of duty, Mr. Speaker. And we must come up with a strategy or a method of honoring the true heroes of this country. People who die for others, people who die for the nation, people who make sacrifices on behalf of the others to an extent of risking their own lives, Mr. Speaker. I think that's where the road meets the rubber, and this is where we need to honor these heroes. We should have a heroes center or a museum or something where these stories are written and what these people achieved, Mr. Speaker, so that our children can learn about these heroes we had in this country and for the future of this country. Many Kipchoges can be born, and those who will live 100 years from today can read those stories and even have those films. And Mr. Speaker, I believe our country is a great country, and we are going to have many more great heroes. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Jasire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I know at this, in this 0 hour, we are talking about heroes. Mr. Speaker, sir, you know, we have a number of heroes, apart from Eliud Kipchoge, whom we are proud of today. We have so many, a number of them, who have performed for this country and has made Kenya what it is today, such that when you travel overseas, Mr. Speaker, sir, when you mention Kenya, even before them knowing which continent you come from, they automatically just know Kenya. It is only important, Mr. Speaker, sir, that when we mention and want to recognize and honor heroes, there are so many categories we can look at. There are people who are very good in keeping peace in this country, trying to make people peaceful. They are also heroes. We have people, Mr. Speaker, sir, even young as they could be, in whichever places they are, we need to recognize them, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is time that we know. We've been seeing people lamenting, Mr. Speaker, sir, even in our social media, some of them in the mainstream media, saying that some years back they did that, they were this, and so forth and so forth. It is only important for this country to place or create categories of recognition in terms of who a hero is, Mr. Speaker, sir. Because if we don't actually respect and give what it deserves to our heroes, Mr. Speaker, sir, some of the people who have got good hearts to do good things for this country, the people whom we call patriots, may, Speaker, sir, have their hearts go down because as a country or a government, we are not recognizing them. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm also aware that we have some sportsmen and women who have gone an extra mile and decided to run for other countries or do other activities for other countries just because probably they are not satisfied with how we handle them here in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, sir. And when we say Kenya took position too, sometimes I tend to disagree, though facts are there, that the people who run for such like countries, like USA, for example, a number of them are Kenyans. You hear them being called by our community names, and you wonder what actually happened. I want to believe they were not getting adequate rewards. They were being frustrated, and they felt like they can do anything possible, even other than not being a patriot, and go and do it for other countries to earn a living and a better one. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, as we talk on this, we have our people who are on the security part. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have lost a lot of our young people, even if they are old or young, in terms of security, those who are providing the security in this country, within and without. Recently, we saw the ones who perished, Mr. Speaker, sir, because of an ID, which was actually put on the road, and they died. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is just the recent one. We know many of them, Mr. Speaker, sir, even the one. I want to mention one incident, Mr. Speaker, sir, in Garissa University, where we had a police officer who sacrificed his own life to go and save lives. And he evacuated around 200 students in that university, Mr. Speaker, sir, even with a lot of terrorists and a lot of bad things that were happening. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's surprising to notice that even to date, that person has not been recognized. The one who has remained alive has not even been promoted. It's as if he did nothing. Even if somebody was in his line of duty, those people who go an extra mile and do humane things for Kenyans must be recognized and be given. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I would like to talk. You would have given us 10 minutes. This is very important. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The Honorable Sossion, the Honorable Chris Wamalwa, you seem to be in a hurry, but the Honorable Sossion is ahead of you in the queue. The Honorable Chris Wamalwa, just hold on. You are about to be reached, but yes, but he's ahead of you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, but I think my leader today will allow me to enjoy my space. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the mover of this motion. It's a timely motion that should drive us as a country and as leadership to reflect on the great values of this nation, particularly the value of patriotism. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about the ranking of Kenya in global events. And as I contribute to this motion, I wish to join the rest of Kenyans in saluting and congratulating Eliud Kipchoge for being the first human to run under 2 hours in the marathon. Of course, there have been other notable world record breakers like Bridget Koskei, and we congratulate all of them. And looking at the background of Eliud Kipchoge, a disadvantaged boy who dropped out of school because of being disadvantaged and because of the background, and engaging in butchery business without discovering his talents and skills as an athlete, and also doing milk business. I'm saying so because these are data we get from the teachers who are involved. But he has been able to discover a talent in himself, and he has come up with a philosophy. And in fact, what catches us is the personal philosophy of this athlete. The philosophy of no human is limited. A philosophy that is applicable to every human being in whatever sphere. And I think, and this is a man who captured the world and brought the entire world to a standstill and proved to the world that he could do something, and he did it. And that man is from the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I think it is not enough to speak and talk and momentarily for these men and women, and we forget them for a while. As a nation, there must be a framework of capturing some of these heroes and moving a step forward to support their philosophies. Because when you talk of no man is limited, that's an applicable philosophy everywhere. And he has done it. It is not enough to talk about giving token money, but this is a philosophy that we can push and support all through. Honorable Speaker, I think one of the heroes who could even address this parliament is a man like Kipchoge, because he has made it. We have the Heroes' Day coming in the next few days, but who will be celebrated in this country? These are the men and women. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is a wonderful country in terms of global comparators, and I think a lot has been mentioned. Our soldiers in Somalia have done what no other group of army men can do in the world. And they were laughed at as being very good in parades, but not very good in war. But people did not see the element of strong discipline and organized military skills, and they succeeded where other revered military had failed in Somalia. Honorable Speaker, if I talk about education, because these heroes are everywhere. There is one Peter Tapichi, a teacher, who won the global award the other day. And I think this is one man also who should be fitted by this country with one philosophy. A teacher who teaches in one of the poorest schools and is devoting all his salaries to pay fees. I think, Mr. Speaker, as a nation, let us have a framework of capturing the modern heroes of this country who have the philosophies that the rest of the nation can copy to enrich the values of our nation. Because we are talking about building a better nation. Of course, in academia, I saw the other day, Honorable Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o congratulating a poor girl who scored the first-class honors in aerospace engineering in London. And we can go on and go on. Talk of the artists. Honorable Speaker, if we talk of the artists, and I think you look at this parliament, for example, I think Honorable Cheboy,
the Honorable Sosion, I think the mic itself knew when to cut you off. The Honorable Amalwa, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I take this opportunity to salute Eliud Kipchoge for putting Kenya on the global map. Mr. Speaker, I read about Eliud Kipchoge, particularly his Christian faith. And before he went for the race, he's a Catholic by faith, Mr. Speaker. And he was praying the rosary. This is to do with the faith, Mr. Speaker. I learned about the mother who was praying all through for the son. We salute him. He has put us on the global map, Mr. Speaker. In this country, we have a Heroes Act. This is the time that Heroes Act, we want to see it being operationalized. We want to see people like Eliud Kipchoge being given the medals, the CBS, the EBS. We've seen Akideriman before, Mr. Speaker, getting an HSC. But this is the time as we go for Mashujaa Day, wherever His Excellency the President is and his advisors, we want to see these great Kenyans being honored, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's indeed true that heroes can be made, not that can be born. And he said he got this through hard work. This is a motivation to the young people, that indeed is true with hard work, the sky is the limit. Mr. Speaker, we have seen so many Kenyans who have made us proud. And you want to salute now CBC. Honorable, my colleague here has just talked about that we must try to nurture and identify talents. And this is to salute CBC, the competence-based curriculum, Mr. Speaker. I don't see why somebody like Eliud Kipchoge will have wasted so much time to learn about Pythagoras' theorem. No relevance. But look at where he is now. Today we salute him. And this is a lesson to the parents. This is a lesson also to the students, that if you are weak academically, that is not the end of everything. You can actually venture into sports. I saw the other day, Mr. Speaker, something doing the social media, that CBC in practice, somebody being crucified on the cross, the way Jesus Christ did. But I don't think that was the correct thing. Here, Eliud Kipchoge, the Bridget are good living examples of competency-based curriculum. We don't have to waste so much time, Mr. Speaker. We are putting so much pressure on our children, particularly at such a time when they're about to do the exams. But we want to tell our children, wherever they are, that KCSE, KCPE is not the end of everything. And as Honorable Sosion has clearly put it, please, we want to invite Eliud Kipchoge to come and address Parliament. We want this government to respect and nurture the good talents. Honorable Sosion has been a very good trade unionist. But you find some people are busy, they want to finish him. We should not finish our heroes. We should nurture them to continue so that they can go to greater heights of prosperity, Mr. Speaker. It is important because we've noticed in this country, if you've identified someone and you've seen his competency somewhere, instead of supporting that person, you are busy looking for a way of bringing that person down. Shame on you wherever you are. This is indeed very, very critical. Look at Honorable 001. He's a first nominated member of Parliament, but he has done very well in matters of legislation with Honorable Sosion. We see them active in this house. We salute you people, Mr. Speaker. And as we debate the heroes, the laws we are discussing about discriminating laws, we want this to be put in the law. That when we talk of affirmative action, when we talk to marginalized groups, it's not just women. It is to do with the youth, people who are disabled, and you are talking marginalized groups, and even the workers. So it is important that we should notify and take note of that. And absolutely, but we've been hearing when it comes to representation, mostly it's been on women as opposed to other groups. We are saying women should be 50%, then others can be shared equitably, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, and we salute Kipchoge, and as we go to Mombasa, we want to see Eliud Kipchoge, the Bridget, their names being read by His Excellency. And we also salute His Excellency, the President, because he picked up a phone call and he called Eliud Kipchoge. That was very, very patriotic to President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And we salute you for that. He didn't bother to know what tribe is Kipchoge or what tribe is this. It is through sports that we are saying no to tribalism. I thank you.
Very well spoken, the Honorable Chris Wamalwa. It is good that you recognize the Honorable Sosion as one of your heroes. You wanted to speak ahead of him, but you are courteous enough to allow him to speak before you. We shall now have the Honorable Tuku.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to speak on this motion that has been brought on this 0 hour. And I want to state from the onset that, you know, Kenya is a country of extremes. We've, last week we were able to hit both the North and South Pole all at one time. Because it's last week that we were mourning the loss of our sister and the child at Likoni Ferry, the tragedy that took so long. We really had a long wait to really have the body retrieved, and I still continue condoling with the family for such a loss. And I pray that as much as we want to really celebrate and talk about so many things, we should pick lessons from everything that happens within our sphere, especially the issue of Likoni tragedy, whereby it was a moment where we realized that we are so ill-prepared for disaster. And thinking of the long time they took for the vehicle to sink, and nothing was done for a whole 10 minutes, and now we are counting our losses. I do not want to dwell on the negativity, but then it is something that we should take up, and maybe going forward, cause this country to be well prepared for such disasters of that magnitude. I want to join my colleagues in giving my congratulatory message to our own brother, Eliud Kipchoge, on his world-breaking, on his record of that has not been witnessed before. And in the same breath, I am saying that in every event we should take lessons. We saw so many people assisting him to achieve his goal, so many helpers, the pacemakers, the financiers, and so and the like. But as a country, there begs so many questions. Why is it that it has taken us so long really, to invest in what we are best at. Because we cannot be putting our money where our mouth is not. You see, like the training that facility that has been invested, the foreigners who have invested in a sporting facility in Eldoret, whereby foreigners are now coming, exercising, and now they're competing with our own. Yet the government has taken so long to invest in such facility, so that then we may have many Kipchoges, many Bridgets, and many our brothers from Rift Valley, because it seems like they're the ones who have the gene that is doing the exploits for this country. We really need to rethink as a country, so that then we can be strategic and invest where we are going to reap maximum benefits, as opposed to investing in ventures whereby we are just trying an error. In this particular one, as far as athletics is concerned, seems that that's where our strength is, and therefore we should invest there. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the President and the Deputy President, because the President took his time to call Kipchoge, just to give him his good message, to tell him that the whole country is behind him and we are wishing him success. That was something, and he felt that the whole country was behind him. And as he was running, I believe, he felt that the President and the people of Kenya were behind him. The Deputy President taking his time to travel all the way to Vienna, just to go and cheer him up, that was something that every Kenyan should just emulate. And we congratulate the Deputy President for taking his time on the same. One thing that, and this is my final comment, because I would also want to take you in breaking the record of 5 minutes and maybe complete my speech in 4:59 or so. I would want to say that as a country, we need to build capacity, because it is only in building capacity that we are going to achieve even more for this country. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion, but going forward, building capacity is something that we must do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The Honorable Mbarire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to salute Mr. Eliud Kipchoge, and also Bridget, who also broke a world record in her marathon, and just say that they made us proud as a nation. But for those of us who are leaders, it was a time to reflect and ask ourselves what lessons we are learning out of these great heroes. And may I say sheroes, Mr. Speaker, so that we are never thinking that heroes are just men, but we do have sheroes who are women. Mr. Speaker, I couldn't help but ask myself, how many more young Eliud Kipchoges, young Bridgets, are out there in the village, and their talent is not identified and nurtured, and they end up living a life of want and poverty because somebody failed in identifying that talent, somebody failed in nurturing that talent, somebody failed in enabling that talent to grow. And that is what is happening to most of our young people. And I could also not help but remember how in my primary school there was this young man who was always #1 in all the races, whether within the school or across schools. And because he wasn't gifted academically, I remember the teacher one time commenting in his maths paper, because he only had 4%, that your work is only running. In other words, what you do is useless. Therefore, we need to turn around and change our mindset as a people, where we begin to appreciate that talent is not necessarily academic, that people can prosper in whatever it is that God has given them, and we can nurture it and we can make it possible. So as leaders seated today, one of the challenges we must bring on board in these houses, how we can make sure there's more resources towards sports for our young people right from the village. I remember, I have a son who is very sporty, and that has made me get very interested in matter sports. And I remember one time we were talking with one coach who coaches on cricket, and he was telling me, do you know cricket has become a rich man's game? And yet we can actually cascade it all the way to the grassroots so that more young people can learn cricket. more young people can learn rugby, more young people can play golf, so that we start to ask ourselves, how much more can we do to make it possible? Even if, Mr. Speaker, in my view, we gave more money to CDF so that members of parliament can identify and nurture those talents at the constituency level and across constituency and across counties up to national level, I think we would achieve more. And therefore, we must ask ourselves, how much talent are we destroying by not finishing our stadiums that we keep seeing on TV and on, on media, that we have about 14, 15 stadiums that we have not cleared paying the contractors, so work has stalled. So how much talent are we killing by doing that? And so I hope even the committee, the oversight committee that deals with sports, can begin to look at these matters critically and make sure we offer real solutions that can make young people grow and become Kipchoge Keino tomorrow, Mr. Speaker. And let me also add my voice to those that have spoken. We are looking forward to Mashujaa Day. We expect that Eliud Kipchoge will be given an EBS, Chief of Burning Spear, yes, Chief of Burning Spear. I am really looking forward, not even CBS, by the way, Elder of Burning Golden Heart, EGH, that is where he belongs, not CBS like Honorable Amalwa got the other day. And I mean, I have an MGH, so I expect him to have something bigger than me because he's done well for this nation. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we must take advantage of this opportunity and make sure we showcase Kenya as a destination, a tourism destination, through sports tourism. I think that's an opportunity that we've lost out as a nation, and we need to capture it before it's too late. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Ibrahim Sahal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to condole with the family and friends for the elite General Service Unit security personnel in the deadly blast in Liboy, Garissa County. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we have suffered similar attacks in the region. As a result, the country procured armored vehicles to enhance security and which are able to detect the IEDs, improvised explosive device. Why are the armored vehicles not dispatched for use in these fertile Peru's borders? Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Interior and Coordination national functions should give a clear position of the state of security in areas and further explain with strategies they are employing to ensure the security of the citizens and the national personnel. Mr. Speaker, in the line, ministries and security organs should ensure a more collaborated approach in addressing the security challenges in Garissa, aware that the security and the peace are prerequisites to sustainable development. It is paramount for the government to protect her people and create environment for socio-economic development. Mr. Speaker, I also want to congratulate Mr. Eliud Kipchoge for the wonderful job. May God bless him. Thank you.
The Honorable Kipchoge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to congratulate Kipchoge. Eliud Kipchoge has done us great. He's done this country proud. He has run the race of his life. And I think for a long time, this country will always look upon such athletes to give us the performance that we want. Mr. Speaker, there are so many youths in this country who can run, who can break records. But because of the way, the nature of activities in our country, the kind of situation that we have, we put money in the wrong places. Mr. Speaker, I think this country knows very well, and the whole world knows, Kenya is an athletic nation. Kenya is an athletic nation. You can imagine, of all the countries, like we were competing in EAF, last 2 weeks. Mr. Speaker, Kenya was number 2 among all the nations in the world. Number 2, it was only beaten by America because of variety of activities Americans are involving themselves in. The rest of the countries, Russia, China, name them, they could not beat Kenya. And yet, when it comes to budgets, Mr. Speaker, we normally put money on wrong places. Why can't we really put money on athletics? We invest on athletics because it is also a foreign honor. It is not just because the money these people normally win outside makes or change this country. Mr. Speaker, let us put money on athletics. Let us put money on rugby. Let us put money on activities that we know can bring us or can get us to where we are supposed to be. Mr. Speaker, I wish also to congratulate Bridget for the performance she had and the men and women who also participated in EF. I wish also to congratulate other Kenyans and heroes and heroines who not so many people recognize them. You know, Mr. Speaker, it was only after the world recognized a lady called Wangari Maathai. Otherwise, we never knew her. We used to beat her here in across here in Uhuru Park, but the world recognized her. She won a Nobel Prize. We ladies like Lupita Nyong'o. Nobody in this country has even ever taken time to imagine that lady was the only first person in Kenya to win an award in Oscars. People like Obama. You know, Kenya is really an amazing country. It's only us who need to make this country more amazing. But instead, Mr. Speaker, we're doing useless things. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to mourn with our brothers who lost their lives in those areas of Garissa. You know, we normally put billions of money in defense, and I don't know, this thing called NIS. Put billions of money. You see, in many countries, you cannot just send your soldiers to follow roads without, and you know those areas are very dangerous. How many soldiers have died because of those IEDs? Mr. Speaker, those are matters we can be detected. Why can't we send detecting machines fast before our people die? We see many people die because of that, Mr. Speaker, because of our carelessness. Our country is careless. Mr. Speaker, same case with the lady who drowned with her daughter. How many minutes? You know, that thing floated for almost 20 minutes. People were just screaming and looking. Policemen were there. Divers were there. You know, Mr. Speaker, when you look at all those, you sometimes wonder what kind of country we are in. God blessed us with so many talents and so many things. But we are just that kind of dumb people who cannot get things correctly. Mr. Speaker, look at even the appointments of people who are being, you know, we are waiting for Mashujaa Day. You will hear the president reading a list of unscrupulous elements in this country at being awarded CPS, what nonsense. Mr. Speaker, leaving out the right people. Look at the appointments, even which was being made the other week. Appointing over 70-year-old people while we have youths who are rotting in the villages, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think this country needs some serious. And I was thinking, you know, the presidency are just youths, but what they are doing, Mr. Speaker, is really disappointing. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate our great people who have made this country great. Although some of us are pulling it down, but we still need to congratulate those people who are making this country great. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Odepe.
Honorable Speaker, thank you so much. I want to add my voice on what already honorable members have said. Honorable Speaker, our athletes are our brands and our ambassadors. Honorable Speaker, whenever you see the flag of Kenya being carried by our athletes and you watch the TV, you feel like you are very important in this world because of the flag of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, these are the people that we need to recognize them. These are the people that we need to encourage them because they are making our country to be known. They are taking our flag outside this country. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that our athletes are our tourist attraction. Some tourists are coming here just to see a nation called Kenya, where Kipchoge comes from. And by doing so, we get foreign earning through our athletes. So that's the people that, Honorable Speaker, we need to see how we can encourage them by actually doing tax exception with the little money they get from sport. Because already we are getting some money through them by the tourists who come to Kenya to see this country where the champions are being born and nurtured. Honorable Speaker, our athletes are talent exporters. Yes, on that day, Honorable Speaker, I was so shocked to see a black man speaking like a black American. And when the name came out, he was called Kipchoge. I was so shocked. A Kenyan in a foreign country who has gone there because of sport. These are the people, Honorable Speaker, that we need to recognize. We have exported them, and they are making records in other countries. Honorable Speaker, I want to recommend a few things. Number one, we need to remember these athletes and encourage them by, number one, naming major roads and some institutions after them, so that after even they have died, their children and generations to come will remember them. And they will be told why that name was named after that institution or the road. Second, Honorable Speaker, we need to keep their status and the records in our museums, so that when our children are going to museums, we need to see them, and they will be told, this man broke the record. And he will see the face of that particular person, even if he's not there. But he can see how a person looked like when he was alive. Honorable Speaker, we need to sustain them. In South Korea, Honorable Speaker, every gold you won in any activity, you get $100, 10,000 US dollars the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, Honorable Speaker. Why can't we also do this to athletes? That we give them a particular amount of money. Even after they have retired, they will continue enjoying. Let's say that if you get a gold in any area of activity, you get maybe 100,000 per month for the rest of your life. People will work hard in nurturing their talents because they know even after I retire, I will actually earn money through the game that I participated. Finally, Honorable Speaker, promote them. Those who are in the forces, we need to promote them. If it's just a mere soldier, make them an inspector so that we can motivate others to work hard on their skills and their talents, Honorable Speaker. It's very bad to see somebody who has broken the world record making a salute to a junior person who has never done anything in this country. So we need to make sure that we promote those guys on merit for the work they have done for this country. Honorable Speaker, finally, the national and county government must avail sport facility to encourage young talents to get training. By doing so, Honorable Speaker, we will make sure that we have talent in this country, even after Kipchoge. With those few remarks, I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Rindikiri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join the other members in congratulating our hero of the season, and I believe it will take another 64 years to have another hero like him. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I say this, that our Kipchoge becomes a peace ambassador. He brought the world together. He brought the forces that never could have been together. The entire network, media, social media, the household. I remember sitting down and watching the TV with my workers. I find that is one of the benefits that we had on that day. Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Rindikiri, I must interrupt you, the time being 1859-40. The Speaker must also congratulate the great Eliud Kipchoge. Honorable members. The time now being 7 p.m., this House stands adjourned till Wednesday, the 16th October 2019 at 9:30 a.m.